Hey guys, this is Cody Jones with Jangus Genetics LLC, doing a series about some of the books that have really made a big impact on me. And I figured I'd get a cow in the background. She just calved a few days ago. One of the more recent books that I've read that has really made it, I'd say recent, 2 years ago I think. I had to read it. I got it for the Ranching for Profit School. So if you've ever heard about the Ranching for Profit School, they're getting some, a lot of attention on podcasts and different things. And I think it's for good reason. I went to the school, and I had a background at the University of Missouri. My major was in agribusiness management, and so I had to learn how to use Excel there. And I've been farming and ranching I've been in the business since I was 2. Basically helping Dad out as soon as I could sit still in a tractor seat for 30 seconds while he jumped out and got a gate. But I never really understood much about the true financial side until I put my own money in it. And I think that's kind of the case in a lot of things. And I realized some of the things that we were doing maybe could be done better or differently. My dad's a really wise guy. He's done a lot of things differently than the other conventional farmers around. And he kind of instilled in me that desire to seek and always be doing better. He gets irritated with me because I ask a lot of questions, but I learned it from him. So I know that my son and I are going to be the same way someday, and I'm looking forward to it. But also, I'm like, here it comes. I can see it, and he's about to be 3. This is written by David Pratt. This is his second book, I think. He wrote another one that I also read. This one's better, in my opinion. The other one is basically a collection of his profit tips, or all the different things he's written for Ranching for Profit through the years. He kind of collected them and put them in. And it's good. I wouldn't recommend you not read it, but this is written in a story mode, and I learn from stories. That's I think we're all a little bit more story oriented. The turnaround, a rancher's story. So this is now required reading. They send you this before you take your Ranching for Profit school. I bought it before I knew that, but it really, if you've got any experience in Excel, it really makes it easy. They basically tell you what to do before you even go to the school. So if you don't want to spend $5,000 on the school yet, or was it $2,500? I don't know, look it up. But I don't remember what I paid for it. I think it was $2,500. And then I had to fly there and stay a few nights. So I think it was 5 days. It's been a while. I took it 2 years ago, and I should know all this, but I don't anymore. So look it up, do your research if you want to go. It's not cheap, but that's good because it'll make you pay more attention to it. But if you want a cheap way to figure out if you're going to like the school, or you can't afford to go to the school right now, I highly recommend you go ahead and get this book. It's basically 205 pages of storyline. It hit me a little closer to home than I like to admit, with the conversations with Dad, and it talks about the transition, the turnover, and some of the challenges that a young farmer gets into coming back to the farm. Those older guys, it's hard to let it go, and I'll be the same way. But one of the things that I've done is I've basically started my own business, and I work with my dad sometimes and alongside my dad a lot of times. But we do have 2 independent businesses. My Jangus Genetics is Jones Angus Farms. We run our cattle in different ways in a lot of things, and he does the cropping and the hay, and I've got some custom grazing, and I do some other projects. So I think that's part of just family dynamics. Sons want to come in, and they want to they want to have the ability to make decisions and control some things, and my dad wasn't ready to let go yet. That's good because he still has a lot of things to do, and we work more together year after year. But it's good for me to have a space where I can learn and grow and figure out what I want to do in the future, and I can do that on my own terms now. And again, we're still working together on a lot of things, but I wish it would have been a little bit easier. And if we'd have both read this book, it might have been. So those are some of the things that, for me in my personal journey. I love my dad, and like I said, we work together a lot, just not as much as we'd probably both like to. So basically, it's kind of broken into 3 parts. The first part, going through the numbers, understanding your own business. And I found the most value in this. A lot of times, I'm still trying to figure out, am I doing a good job at this? And that sounds weird, but nobody's out here telling me if I'm doing a good job as far as growing my business and those kinds of things. You have customer feedback, And that's, you know, the most valuable thing you could get is a customer calling you and say, hey, I wish you would change this, or hey, I love what you're doing, keep it up. You know, I always love that. But as far as the business standpoint goes, and I guess I fall into the trap of wanting to compare myself with others too. How do you know if you're doing a good job? And Ranching for Profit, they did a good job of kind of telling us those kinds of things. One of the biggest things I got from this book and from Ranching for Profit is understanding gross margin. And that is a tool that is really useful for trying to figure out your enterprise mix. So I probably did a bit too much when I came back from Ghana and got started in this. I got cows, I got goats, I started a garden, sold the goats, bought chickens, and I had some pigs, and then I had sheep. And how in the world do you figure out if you're going to be making money at all this? Or how in the world do I know if I want to go from 2 pigs to 50 pigs, or, you know, from 20 cows to 100 cows, or, you know, whatever it is? I was really struggling with that when I first got in. I still struggle with it today, but at least I know, you know, why I'm making those decisions now. And so gross margin, basically, it takes out, it's just your gross income minus your direct costs is your gross margin. And you use those things for figuring out, you know, you pull out labor, and you pull out equipment, and you pull out land. And those are things that it really makes a lot of sense when you go through the class and when you read the book. But if you're just figuring on your direct costs out, it shows you your gross margin. So you can use your gross margin across your enterprise to see which one's the best, and that's probably the one you want to expand the most if you're capable. So one of the things that I learned is sheep are way more profitable than cattle, but I just being one person, not being able to check on my sheep all the time, at this point in my life, I can rent a farm, put a hot wire around it, turn cows out, where I wouldn't be able to do that with sheep. And so sheep are something I'm working to build and grow, produce more of. But I'm not going to lose my lower income producing cows to do that, just because I have more flexibility with them. So that's kind of what gross margin did for me. And I think there's a lot of value in that. And it's, you know, we all farm or ranch for a different reason, because we like certain things. And it shows you how much money you're going to make or lose on it in theory. And, you know, some people say, you know, I like making hay because I like making hay. I'm not going to farm without making hay. So, you know, make your hay. It's not telling you not to do those things. It's just telling you, you know, this is what it's costing you, or this is how much you're gonna, this is what's better from a financial point. So anyway, I highly recommend this book. It goes through some examples, I think, especially if you're coming from a farm background, some things on the generational side of things you're probably going to run into. Like I said, I did with my dad and my grandpa, you know, and I watched my dad and how that worked for with his dad, and I've seen several generations of it. It would be nice to have a guide or something like that to go through. There's just a lot of challenging things there in the generational transition. I'll probably use this in the future to have some conversations with my dad and those kinds of things as he's getting older and wanting to step back a little bit more. It's a great book. Dave Pratt was actually the teacher when I was there at Ranching for Profit, so that was cool. He owned it for a long time. So, like I said, it's been a little while since I read it, but it did have a big impact on me. I probably ought to read it again. It kind of starts out talking about these friends they're one set of friends is going to go to Ranching for Profit. They've been in it for a while. They're in the EL program. So this is also a sales pitch for their executive link after Ranching for Profit. And I'm sure there's a lot of value in that. It's probably something I need to do. And I'll probably take the class and do that in the future. So the two friends were involved in the EL and had been to Ranching for Profit. And the other set of friends, they were thinking about it. They were having problems with their farm and their business and the family transition and those kinds of things. And so they start talking about all these different things. And there's about 11 chapters in there that are just really good, really gold for talking about all the normal farm problems that we think about. And then the second part of the book is boots on the ground. That's when they start, you know, putting some of those things into practice. And they do this in the Ranching for Profit school too. You'll go outside and you'll actually apply some of the things you learn in the classroom. You'll look at the grass and in the parking lot, kind of estimate how much ground it takes for a cow to eat and different things. And that's pretty cool, especially when you're doing it from, I'm from Missouri. We get about 43 inches average rainfall. All the ranchers from Colorado and New Mexico and Texas were all pretty upset when we announced our annual rainfall. But I also said, you're dealing on 20,000 acres and I'm dealing on like less than 1,000. So it's all put it in perspective. But how much ground I need in a day versus how much they do in a day is definitely different. One guy said he was running 1 cow per 30 acres. And I'm like, I'm doing like 1 to 3. And I think I could do a little better most years. But that was one of the big things I got from ranching for profit. A lot of the value of having conversations about ranching in different parts of the world, and the principles apply everywhere, but trying to figure out what the principles are sometimes can be a trick. So anyway, I highly recommend this book. Check it out. Especially if you're on the line or thinking about going to the class, read the book. If you've been to the class before the book was published, it's a good book. Get you thinking back about it again. So if you guys like videos like this, or you want to go more in depth in books like this, let me know, and I can create some more content for you. But like, subscribe, and follow for more. We appreciate it.